Hey everybody, it's Johnny with JP's RC Workshop again. You notice the TRX4 is a bit dirty and a bit wet. Took it out for a crawl and really not liking the steering servo performance a whole lot. So going to be doing some experimenting with the steering servo. Going to change out to fairly budget steering servo. I'll plug my lights here. Fairly budget servo is actually a lot of an understatement. It's actually the cheapest Metal Gear servo that I know of on the market at the moment. It's the Tower Pro MG996R. Depending on where you get it on eBay or Amazon or whatever, it's available for less than $10. Going to be a little interesting to see how this works. So what I'm doing is I'm going to pull this top body mount, which is these two screws on the outside here. Just to get it out of the way, so this is a little bit easier to access the rest of the hardware holding the servo in here. I've actually been really surprised with how well the TRX4 still crawls even without a censored ESC after doing the brushed to brushless conversion. Did that just because I wanted to see what kind of speed and power we could get out of this thing. So far I've had no issues with the drivetrain with this thing whatsoever. As I said, I'm not even, the servo hasn't even burned out. I'm just looking for a little more than what it hasn't. Now I just took the lower link loose with the Allen screw that holds it on. Right here from the arm. If you guys hear the rain on the roof here, you know, I hope you can hear me over it just fine. It's actually somewhat loud in the background. So most of you, if you change a steering servo, you're going to actually have to take your receiver box open. It's actually not something I'm going to need to do because of having a lighting kit. I actually have a Y plug in my steering servo, so, and in my ESC servo that these are actually plugged into. So just unplug the servo here. Now it's just to the 4 bolts holding the servo to the front servo mount / cross member. A lot of you are probably curious as to why I'm taking a perfectly good servo out of my TRX4 and putting the absolute cheapest servo I can find on it. And it would really probably be a good question. So, size is identical. The specifications of this servo, if it lives up to them, are actually better. It has a heavier wire than the standard Traxxas servo, and according to the numbers on it, it's actually a higher torque servo than what was originally on the TRX4. So, looking for a little bit more responsive steering. As any of you TRX4 owners know, the steering isn't the most powerful servo out there. Okay, just making sure the servo is centered. Power the car back down. And going to reattach the link to the steering horn here. I'm just thinking about it, and probably didn't even need to take this screw out. Actually, second thought, scratch that. It does need to come out. I'm going to have to take it out again even after I reattach it here momentarily. Need to do this so I can get the servo horn on here with the proper orientation, so it actually will be centered once the car is powered up. Again. Okay. Back to my second favorite pastime, trying to figure out where I set a screw. That's a very stiff servo. So, let's grab our screws here, mount it back down to the chassis. Okay, what I'm doing right now is I'm just getting these screws started, so I'll still have play in the servo, so I can easily get them all four to start before final tightening. remember when you're putting metal screws into plastic, not to over tighten, just to get it snug. Once you over tighten a plastic screw, or screw into plastic, there's really only one way to deal with it other than replacing the piece with the stripped threads, and that's to go with a coarser thread screw, which isn't ideal. It doesn't always work for very long. Okay, now just taking the servo lead and working it back through the factory wire tie downs on the TRX4 and getting it over here to my servo Y harness. And there's that. Now, I'm going to take last screw here, reattach the steering arm, drag link, whatever you want to call it, back to the servo horn. Or for you one-to-one mechanics, the pit mounting. Well, I suspect the claims on that servo are slightly overrated. It's a little faster than the original servo, but it doesn't seem to have any more torque than the original one does. But I'm going to do another update after a few battery packs through and let you guys know how it works out. Little update on what's been done to this TRX4. Drivetrain is still bone stock. It has only been taken apart for checking for water and lubing it. It's pretty wet here where I live in Oregon, so you know, water and rust is a fairly serious concern. I have put a wiring kit or wiring lighting kit, so it has Y leads going into the receiver box. I have put a 4600 kV Castle 1406 series censored brushless motor with a Sidewinder 3 sensorless ESC. It will be getting a Hobby Wing ESC when I can do that upgrade, simply just because I'm wanting to go censored. Obviously we put the Tower Pro MG996R servo in the steering, but other than that, this thing is dead stock. It is mental on 2S lipo with this brushless system. Still has more than enough torque for crawling. It's giving it a ton more wheel speed. So it actually is a very, very capable crawler now with this motor and ESC combo in it. Not to fault the original system, but you know, I'm one of those guys that just wants more. So right now I'm just putting the last 2 screws in here on the upper body mount, reinstalling that so I can mount the shell on it. As you can see right here, you know, it's a pretty simple process. I apologize for the lighting. I'm just working with what lights are in the shop here, such as it is, which, you know, it's a kind of a 10 by 20 fiberglass skin shed. So it's not the most luxurious of settings, but it does have shop lights in it and power, so it's it does the job. So I'll plug in the lights again. It's actually kind of surprising considering the terrain I went through in this thing, how well these inner fenders and lower pans here work to keep debris out of the TRX4. I've got mud and pine needles all over the bumpers, shocks, axles, bottom of the fender wells, bottom of the car, the inside of the body, and where the electronics are all really quite clean still. So I will be doing a video here soon on custom steel bumpers. The one thing that I am not real fond of with this thing is its weight bias. It is a little heavy in the tail compared to other crawlers, but by removing the spare tire mount, gas can, and jack from the rear, it actually helped it immensely. I am going to be putting most of that back on here as, you know, scale accessories at a future date. Just not certain where to put them yet. Actually, considering that's in soft carpet, that servo is pretty torquey. A little less to the left than it is to the right. So, the question is though, is with it. Yep. Even with an aftermarket servo, the TSM is still functioning. So there is installation of the new Tower Pro servo in my TRX4. I will do an update on how it performs. I'll do another update when I finally need to replace it. I'll do some running videos so you guys can see how it does around where I live with this servo. It's not a waterproof servo, so not really sure how well it's going to work or how long it's going to last. I don't run my crawler through water, other than like little tiny puddles. I don't actually take it out in the streams or anything. Two reasons. One, water damage to bearings and stuff like that would be a lot worse. The other reason is the streams around here, yeah, they are too fast flowing this time of year to even consider it. So, if you guys like the video, give me a thumbs up. Appreciate it if you guys would subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell button, stay notified of any future videos. Like I said, we're going to be doing as many as we can. If you have any questions, things that you want to see on these, post them in the comments, and I will get around to a video as soon as I can.